Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today for the virtual College Exploration Fair for California students. So just a few items. Your camera and microphone are off, so you're muted and your video is off. But you'll still be able to ask questions using the Q&A button. You'll type in your questions to the presenter at any time throughout the webinar. You can also sign up for more sessions. Check out the schedule at the website that's listed. And also this recording will be available after all the sessions at the website again that's listed here. So at this time, I will let our panelists take it away and start our webinar this afternoon.
Thank you very much. I will just start sharing my screen. And hopefully you can all see that okay. Okay, there we go. Hi, my name is Emily Page and I work at the University of Central Lancashire in the north of England. I'm going to be talking quite a bit about the university, but what I'm actually going to start with is just some really brief information about higher education in the UK in general. Higher education, universities in England and the rest of the UK are quite different really from the US. First of all, our bachelor's degrees are only 3 years. We have quite a lot of work placements and exchanges, so you can do a study abroad year in lots of parts of Europe or Asia. You can even return to the US and do a study abroad year if you so wished. Our master's degrees are also only 1 year, and I'll come to why they're shorter than they are in the US in just a moment. We have quite a lot of professional programs that are available at bachelor's level. So you can actually go to law school or medical school. You can learn dentistry or nursing or pharmacy completely at bachelor's degree. You don't have to do another degree first. So if you want to study medicine, you don't have to do an undergraduate sciences degree. There's no pre-med. You can just go straight on to medical school. And essentially with all of the programs that we offer in the UK, you're going straight on to the major of your choice. Then this is one of the reasons why it's only 3 years, because when you enter a degree in the UK, other than some possibilities of doing it longer for other reasons, you're going straight onto your major. There is no general ed classes, so you're not having to take one math class and one English class and bulk up your credits in that first year, because you start on day one on the major that you're studying. So you can do journalism from day one, or forensic science from day one, medicine from day one. And that's the reason it can only take 3 years, because you're straight onto your major and you spend the full 3 years doing your major. It does make it a little bit different, however, with the entry requirements, the admissions requirements, but I will come on to that a little bit later as well. The tuition fees are often lower than many other universities in North America. Not always, and you should always check that yourself, but they are often lower tuition fees and with scholarships available as well. You're also able to work up to 20 hours per week part-time, and it can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be on campus. You can work in cafes and restaurants. You potentially could get an office job in an area of interest to you. So it's a really good option for students coming from the US, particularly that ability to do your bachelor's degree in 3 years. And when we say 3 years, we mean 3 years. You don't get impacted majors in the UK. There's no such thing as having to take summer school classes. Because we know the major you are doing, we basically pre-register you in all of the classes that you need in order to complete your major. So unless you fail your classes, you will be progressing through with all of your peers. So everybody that starts in year 1 will all progress over into year 2 and then into year 3, and then everyone that you started with will all graduate together. It is very rare that if you do a 3-year bachelor's degree that you will end up doing 4 years. As I say, you're likely to have had personal personal issues, or possibly have actually failed a lot of classes to get in that position. So you're in a really strong position to be able to budget, because you know it's 3 years you're going to be spending. You know, if you know what you want to study, then you can go straight onto it and really focus on it. Something that sometimes confuses people in the US is the language. And you think, well, we're all speaking English, what would the problem be? But we call things different things. So for example, when you say course, you're generally thinking of one class. When we say course, we mean that to be the major. So if somebody said to me, oh, what course are you studying? I would say I'm studying communication, or I'm studying engineering. And that would mean the entire degree, the entire major. When we're talking about individual classes, we tend to call them modules. We don't tend to call the teaching staff professors, and even the ones that are full PhDs don't always get called professor either. We also call the graduate studies postgraduate, because you've graduated from your bachelor's degree, so now you're on to postgraduate studies. This is just a few of the words that we have that are quite different from what you use in the US. So it's always worth remembering that if something doesn't quite make sense, maybe it's just the word is a little bit different. Don't ever worry about it. There's people at every UK university like myself that are there to help you and guide you through that process. But you'll see websites in the UK and they're talking about the courses that you can study. You'll not really find the word major anywhere, and they'll often talk about the modules and the lecturers and the tutors and things like that. So I'll move on to the University of Central Lancashire in particular. We're a large modern university in the north of England. The university, both the staff and the students combined, is approaching 38,000 people. We've got students from all over the world, over 120 countries, and about 3,000 of our students are international students. It's actually probably a little bit higher than that now, around 3,300, 3,400. We have been doing a lot to our campus. We've got quite a large campus, obviously with that number of people there, it's a large campus. And one of the most recent buildings that we've opened is our Engineering Innovation Centre. And you can see that picture at the bottom of your screen. That was a £200 million, the campus master plan is a £200 million master plan. And the Engineering Innovation Centre was £30 million. We're doing lots of student social spaces. We've got new student centres opening up as well. So there's a lot happening on the campus, and it's a real mixture of very new buildings and some beautiful old buildings as well. I have lots of pictures in this presentation, and all of the pictures that you will see will either be at the university or in the local city, Preston. Now, although we're considered a modern university, our history goes back quite far. We opened in 1828, but we were a small college. It was kind of research kind of college. And over the years, we've changed quite a few times and we've grown, we've become bigger. And in 1992 is when we became University of Central Lancashire, but we do go back all the way to 1828. And the pictures that you can see there are from both the university and in the city. The picture at the top left is one of our oldest buildings on campus, and then the rest are kind of a mixture. So Preston itself, Preston is a city northwest of England. You can see the map there. It's very close to Manchester and Liverpool. So if you're into soccer or if you're into music, then it's an excellent location. It's a city, but it's a small city. This is not the size of London. This is not anywhere near LA. It's a small city. The population of about 140,000 people, and it's only 40 minutes from the two bigger cities of Manchester and Liverpool, and about 2 hours and 20 minutes to London. The UK is a small country. You can get across the whole of the UK quicker than you can get across most of the states of America. We are very well connected. Public transport in the UK is highly used, and it's well developed. We've got train links, we've got excellent road links. There's lots of buses and lots of ways to get around the city as well as get to other cities. And we're only about 10-minute walk to the train station. So when you're deciding that you want to go and have a day in Manchester, then you can walk to the train station in 10 minutes, get a train to Manchester in 40 minutes and spend a couple of hours there, spend the day there, go out for an evening, whatever you're wanting to do. And the same with Liverpool as well. We're also on the route from Manchester Airport, so you can jump on a train at Manchester Airport and then arrive in Preston. And it's about an hour and 10 minutes journey on that, because the Manchester Airport is actually on the other side of Manchester. It's a very affordable city. It's one of the most affordable cities in England. Mainly because it is quite a student city. It's a small city with a very big university, so it has got quite a lot of students at the university, and there's lots of discounts that you can get when you are a student. Now, the pictures you see here along the side, these are all from around Preston, so not the campus itself, but around the city centre, as well as the docks and one of the parks as well, that is not right in the city centre, but just in the kind of other side of the campus. And then the picture at the bottom is an aerial shot of our campus itself. Now, these here are just varying pictures from around the city. We have got beautiful museums, beautiful parks, lots of big parks. We have Park Run at the weekend. Normally, in the normal non-COVID world, we have Park Run, which is where lots of people get together and go for a run on a Saturday morning. But if you're more into going to the cinema or going out to cafes and restaurants, then we've got plenty of that as well. We've got an excellent cycle network, so maybe you want to go out for the evening with some of your friends on the Saturday night, but actually then the Sunday you want to take in a bit of nature, and that's quite easy to do when you live in Preston. You can see one of our pictures there, which is our Caribbean Festival, that again is normally held every year. Unfortunately not this year, but most other years we have a Caribbean Festival, and there's other events and music events and other festivals that happen throughout the year as well. Something that is quite often very important for students is the accommodation, and we have excellent accommodation. Our accommodation team are extremely helpful, but also we don't do dorm rooms. You don't need to share a bedroom with anyone. You will always have your own bedroom. You will always have access to a kitchen, and you will either, this is where you have a choice, is either have a private bathroom, so attached to your bedroom, or you have a shared bathroom, but it's always apartment style, so you're never living with more than 6 other people, which allows you a bit more independence, a bit more freedom. But also it means if you're a night owl and you want to study at 11 p.m, it doesn't matter if somebody else wants to get to bed at 9 p.m or 10 p.m, because you have your own space to do that. If you want to listen to your own music or watch your own programs, then you can do that because you've got a private space. But you also have a shared space if you actually want to socialize as well. But as well as the accommodation, we do lots of welcome events, lots of social events. Every university in the UK has a students' union, and the students' union is supported by the university but run by students, and there's lots of clubs and societies in there. And we have everything from the Retro Gaming Society to Harry Potter Club, which I think every university in the UK has now, and lots of sports clubs that you can join as well. If you're a competitive sports person, then there's competitive teams. But if you just want to kick a ball about or play some tennis with someone, or even if you want to continue with some American football, then we've got all of those kind of clubs as well, competitive and just purely for fun as well. But also, if you ever run into any difficulties, we've got an excellent support team that will be there to help you, whether that's financial issues, mental health issues, whatever it is that's going on in your life, you're able to get help from these people. Some of the things that we've had students say to us that's the most important is being able to live with friends, the location of the accommodation, because all of our accommodation is on campus. It tends to be around the outskirts of the campus, which means you're never more than 5 or 10 minutes walk from your classes. It's excellent value for money. We have not raised the price of our accommodation for over 8 years. And it's extremely safe. Preston is a very safe city in general, but the accommodation gives added levels of security. You have the initial gates to get into your building, your front door of your building, the front door of your apartment, and then you will also have locks on your individual bedrooms within your apartments as well. as I was saying before, we've got lots of sports happening within the university, and there's two different areas for the sports. We've got a gym on the main part of the campus, and that does lots of classes and spin classes, and it's got the normal gym equipment. But we also have a full sports arena. That's about 10 minutes drive from the campus, but we have shuttle buses that go back and forth all day, and you can also hire out basketball courts, squash courts, things like that as well. You have to pay a deposit, but so long as you return all the equipment and don't do any make any damage to the equipment, then you get that money back. So you have to put in a small amount just to secure the time slot, but you get that back once you've completed your time there as well. So this here is just a kind of look at the campus, and you can see the different coloured buildings. They're the kind of different zones of the university. And then you can see some kind of other buildings around the outside of that, and most of them are the accommodation. But you can see at the bottom of the map there, the Preston City Centre, and then just at the centre bottom, you can see the railway station. So you can see everything is really very close together. Now, something I would highly recommend that you do is have a look at our virtual tour, and you can just go to that website, uclan.ac.uk/vtour, and you can have a look around the accommodation, you can have a look around all of our facilities, you can walk around the campus, you can watch little videos about the different parts of the campus, and you can do that by major. So if you want to study English literature, you can go to that and it will show you the relevant teaching buildings. If you want to just focus on accommodation, you click on that and it will show you all that as well. So I highly recommend that. It's a really great way of you being able to see the campus. So what can you study? I'm going to start by explaining a little bit more in detail about the programs that you can do. I'm not going to go into all of these because not all of them will be relevant for everybody that's watching. But the bachelor's degree, the 3 years bachelor's degree, is the most common one that people will go for. But I did mention before that we do have 4-year option degrees as well. Now, sometimes it's 4 years because you do a foundation entry year, and that makes it a little bit closer to what you do in the US. However, you're still focused on your major. It just will be broader. So instead of deciding to come in on day one, you start studying mechanical engineering, it would allow you your first year to do more general sciences and more general engineering. And then you can kind of make up your mind up if you want to continue on mechanical engineering or if you want to move into aerospace engineering. And that's the case for all of our subjects. But the only reason you need to do that is if you haven't got the grades that we require for you to get into the 3-year bachelor's degree, or you haven't taken the subjects that we asked for. For example, with engineering, we're going to need you to have maths or physics. And if you haven't taken either of them, then you would need to do the 4-year option. But you might do a 4-year option because you want to do a work placement, and that's where you do an entire year of working. You get paid, you get a salary, and it counts towards your bachelor's degree, but that means you would then do it over 4 years. The biggest difference is our medical degree, which takes 5 years to complete, but because normally in the US you would do a 4-year bachelor's degree and then a 4-year medical degree, you're already saving a number of years already. And I'll move on more specifically. If anybody has more interest in the kind of foundation, the different types of foundation and in master's degrees, you can let me know. But I'll move on to the programs of studying. I'm not going to go into detail about this because we have so many options available that it would take me a really long time to go through all of them. I'll be giving you my email address at the end, and I'm more than happy to arrange one-on-one conversations about more detail about any of the majors that you're interested in. So I'll run through what we've got here. We have art, design and fashion. We have excellent fashion programs, and then we've got a huge range of different types of design programs, graphic design, product design, architecture, textiles, things like that. And we've got business and management, but that also includes things like accounting and finance and marketing and human resources. We've got clinical and biomedical sciences. That includes medicine, but it also includes just biomedical sciences, biological sciences, pharmacy, and things like that. Computing and physical sciences, so that's things like astrophysics. Our astrophysics program is extremely popular. And then we've got physics, maths, chemistry, software engineering. Our construction and survey school, our engineering school, which is the one that has the brand new building, and it includes things like aerospace engineering, which is what, and you've got two options. You can do just normal aerospace, but you can also do it with pilot studies. So if you want to become a pilot, you can train alongside your degree to become a pilot. And we have our own flight simulators at the university that, you know, normally to get access to them and get time on a flight simulator is really expensive, but you can do that as part of your degree. And then obviously loads of other different engineering, everything from robotic to computer aided. We've got energy engineering, fire safety engineering. So there's a huge range there. Then we've got our film, media and performance, and that's a huge range of performance. Some of our more popular ones are actually our production courses. So we've got film and television production, media production, and we've got music production. So there's some really interesting aspects to that. That's for people that are interested in the creative industries, but they want the more hands-on technical side of things. But we also have our acting and animation and drama and things like that, as well as screenwriting as well. Forensic science, which also includes things like archaeology. It's an interesting one, that, because forensic science can be either criminal side of forensic science, but it can also be archaeological side of forensic science. So actually we have students that are studying forensic science that are going in two quite different directions, and it's an extremely interesting way of working. We also have things like policing, criminal investigation, a huge range within our health and well-being, nursing, physiotherapy, things like that. A large selection within our humanities and social sciences. Languages, huge range of languages, everything from Russian through to Japanese. And we even do things like North Korean studies. Law, we've got a large number of different types of law. Law is always one to watch out for. In California, you've got a good chance of being able to bring a law degree back, but it is a different type of law. So you should always do your research when you're looking to do a law degree in the UK, that you'll be able to return the law degree to the US. It's not always automatic with the law. Psychology, you can just study psychology, but if you've got an interest in a particular area of psychology, you can do child psychology, you can work towards clinical psychology, you can do forensic psychology, psychology and criminology. There's, again, quite a lot going on there. And then the last three areas: social work, care and community, sport and wellbeing, and tourism, hospitality and event management. With our sports and wellbeing, we also have options where you can do football studies, and when I say football, I mean soccer. And you can actually work alongside and do training. It's a slightly separate route, but you can do the soccer, this football studies, and sports business management, whilst also doing extra training in whatever sport you're interested in. If you're doing the football studies, it's going to be football that you do. With tourism, hospitality and event management, you can do everything from hospitality, festivals management, event management, and there's a large range within that. And we even have things like specialisms and things like dark tourism, and that's to do with when people are going to historical sites that are maybe really quite sad histories, but they're going there as tourists, and it's quite a big industry, and it's one that people have got to balance, and it's a very niche area. A lot of our subjects, we have quite a lot of niche areas, but you can find out more about all of these if you go to our website, uclan.ac.uk/courses. And as I said earlier, courses means major, but you can go to /courses and you can find out more about all of them. So I'll move on to about funding your studies. The tuition fees are very competitive. For most of our bachelor's degrees, you're looking at between $16,000 and $18,000 per year. It's also a similar cost if you're looking at our master's degrees as well. Our medical degree is significantly more expensive. You're looking at about $57,000 per year for a medical degree, and it takes 5 years for a medical degree. But if you add up what your tuition fees and living expenses would be for your 4-year bachelor's degree and then 4 years of medical school, although it's extremely expensive, it's still a lot cheaper than it often is to do your bachelor's degree and then medical degree in the US. We also have scholarships available, unfortunately not for the medical school, but for everything else we do. And you can get up to $5,000 per year off of your tuition fees. That means that potentially you could be getting a bachelor's degree and it's only costing you $11,000 per year. So that can make quite a difference. That's the top level of scholarship. Everyone will be able to get that $1,000 scholarship. And then it depends how good your grades are, whether you get an additional $2,000, $2,500, or an additional $3,800. We also accept FAFSA loans, again, unfortunately not for the medical school, but for everything else. We accept Sally May loans, we accept students that are coming with the GI Bill, and you're looking at needing around £1,015 per month for your living expenses. And that includes everything from your accommodation, to your books, to travel, to food. It's assuming you're living like a student. If you want to eat at Michelin star restaurants and buy Prada every month, you're probably not going to be, you're going to be needing a bit more money. But for living like a good quality life as a student, that's like generally how much you're looking at. Because you apply to the major that you want to study and not just the university, every single major that we have slightly different entry requirements and slightly different admissions requirements. It's not something to worry about because it's very clear. When you know what you want to study, you're able to look on our website and see exactly what you need to have. And when we tell you that we need a GPA of 3.0 and you also need to have either APs or SAT subject tests in maths or physics, then that's what we need. The grades that we give you that we need, it's that. The only time that you could meet all of our entry requirements and not get in is because you've not done well enough in the rest of your application, or you've applied really late and we're already full, or you're applying to a really competitive program, something like medicine. And physiotherapy can be quite competitive as well. But generally, so long as you're applying early enough and so long as you're on track for getting the grades that we require, you've got a really good chance of being accepted. The acceptance rate in the UK is so high, it's not a question that UK students ever ask. The acceptance rate for most of our programs is extremely high for the students that are applying by the middle of January. So how do you apply? There are a couple of different ways you can do it. There is a system called UCAS, and that is really quite an easy way of making multiple applications to different UK universities. It's got a small application fee of between $25 and $32, but that is the cost for 5 applications. And you can send that to different universities. It could be for different majors. It's entirely up to you. Now, the first deadline, I've completely forgotten to put the date in there. The first deadline is the 15th of January for that. But if you don't make your application on the 15th of January, don't worry, because it doesn't mean it's an absolute no. If you make your application by the 15th of January, what it means is that you're guaranteed that we will look at your application. If you're applying for something extremely competitive, then after that, we may not be able to look at your application because we've got so many applications for a program. But for most things, that's not going to be the case. It's very likely that for most programs, most universities are going to look at your application, at least up until the kind of at the end of springtime. But you can also apply directly. So if you're only applying to University of Central Lancashire, then you can just apply on our website, and it means there's no cost for you at all. You're going to need to include a personal statement, reference, your transcripts of everything you've done up until that point. For things that you haven't completed, we just need a list of what you're going to be doing. And then there might be other things that you need to do, auditions or written work or interviews. Your personal statement should be quite focused on the major that you want to study. We don't need to know everything about your entire life, so we don't need a list of all of the clubs that you've been part of, but we do want to hear if you've been involved in extracurricular activities and what you've learned from that. But you should always try and relate it back to the major. And again, if you want more information on that, I've got lots of resources about how to write a UK style personal statement. Now, when you apply to UCAS, you get, well, whether you apply directly or whether you apply through UCAS, you're always going to get one of 2 offers, and that's a conditional offer or an unconditional offer. A conditional offer just means you've not finished school yet. We give you a conditional offer to say that you need to finish school with a particular GPA, or we need you to take an AP or your SAT, and we tell you at what grade we need it to be. Now, a conditional offer is never something to worry about, because when we give you a conditional offer, then we're bound by that offer, so we can never back out of that offer. So if we have too many students, we will never withdraw your offer, because we will just hire more people to make sure that you have got accommodation, that you have got all of the classes that you need. So we can never back out of something when it's a conditional offer. However, you won't get the place if you don't meet the requirements that we've asked you for. Now, I'll just go over a few things. Now, I'm not going to read all of these out. You can read yourself, and I'm happy to send you them, and they're on our website. But a few things that are quite interesting is that because we've got a population of around 30,000 students at the university, we're consistently one of the biggest universities in the UK, or in England specifically, and generally within the top 10 in terms of size. We're the only UK university that work with NASA. That's one of the reasons our astrophysics program is so popular. And we're the only UK university that works with NASA, and this is in relation to photographing the sun and using telescopes for the sun. I don't know the full detail. I'm certainly not an astrophysicist. We are we are the largest higher education provider of forensic science, policing and related subjects, and that's in the world, not just in the UK, not just in Europe, but across the world. So you're able to train within forensic science, within policing, within criminal justice, and from one of the largest providers. And we also work very closely with the forensic science and policing departments in the UK as well. And then some of the other reasons to think about coming to University of Central Lancashire: we're guaranteeing you accommodation. If you want accommodation, we guarantee that you will get it. The low cost of the city, the outstanding student support, it's a very safe place to be in Preston. And we're also investing a lot in your campus, in the campus as well. And you can see there's a number of other things there. I'm ready and able to take some questions. So if you have got any questions that you want to send me, please put them in, but I'll just go through a few things here. So you can see my name, Emily Page, there, and also my email address is epage@uclan.ac.uk, and you can drop me an email anytime you like, and I'm happy to make an arrangement to have a Zoom conversation with you and go through things in detail, or we can just go back and forth on email, or we can have a telephone conversation as well. So anytime you need any more information, or you just want to connect with me, then you can send me an email. I've got there quite a few links to websites. You don't have to take all of that down. If you would like the links to the varying bits of the website, or indeed if you want to see it in this presentation yourself, then again, just send me an email. The website is uclan.ac.uk, but if you do /international, that will be the whole area of all of the information that you need. So I'll have a look at the questions. I'm being asked about SATs and ACTs. And it's somebody that can't take an SAT or ACT. And there are provisions for that. It kind of depends what else you can take, what you're doing at school, things like that. But it might be that if you are not able to take kind of any other kind of exams that kind of show your level in particular subjects. And it also depends what you want to study. If you wanted to study medicine, you're going to certainly have to take things like the SAT, ECT, or APs. But for many of our other subjects, then it might be possible that you can go on to the 3-year, but if not, then the next possibility would be that 4-year program. For example, there's a student starting this year, he wasn't able to take many of the exams, so he is coming onto the 4-year program, and that just gives you a bit more basis of the whatever subject you're coming to. So it's not something to worry about, but it may be that we have to just look into it a little bit more. And again, that's an excellent time to be sending me an email. If you do want a bit more information, a bit more detail in relation to your qualifications and our entry requirements, send me an email tell me what you're interested in, tell me the major that you're interested in. It doesn't have to be the exact one, the general subject area is fine, but then also tell me what you already have done and what you are still to take. So if you're at school, if you're doing dual enrollment, or if you're doing APs, if you're in any honours level classes, tell me those things. And don't worry if you're not in any of those, but just let me know if you're taking regular high school classes, and then we can have a look and see what the possibilities are for you. You can also see our entry requirements on our website, but sometimes it's a little bit more complicated if you're not taking things like SATs or ACTs. The reason that the UK universities usually ask for things like APs and the SAT is because you're not taking the general education classes. So if you want to study chemistry, you're starting to study chemistry on day one. Whereas in the US, if you were thinking, I kind of want to study chemistry, then you'll probably take chemistry 101. And if you fail chemistry 101, you're not going to get into the chemistry major. So the upside of the 3-year bachelor's degree in some ways is also the downside, because we need to have some understanding of your level of ability in some subject areas for you to be able to come and start that on year 1 and only do it in 3 years. If we have no evidence of the level that you've been studying at in specific subjects, then there's not very much that we can do. And in addition to that, it can be quite difficult for UK universities to make an assessment between chemistry class at school A and chemistry class at school B, because you could be studying quite different things and the grading systems could be completely different. You could be getting a 3.8 in school A, but if you were in school B, you'd only be getting a 2.7. So sometimes we have to look quite closely at what you're studying in that chemistry class and see if it will give you enough of a basis to be able to come onto the 3-year programme. And if not, that's when the 4-year programme will be. If anyone has any other questions, please stick them into the Q&A and I'll be happy to answer them. Some of the things that we get asked about is in relation to the financing. And I mentioned earlier about being able to, that we can accept FAFSA loans. Now that is things like the Direct Plus loans and things like that. If you're eligible for FAFSA grants, you cannot take them outside of the US. They can only be used with US universities. But still, I have had a student in the past that was eligible for grants. I don't know how much, but they were eligible for grants if they'd stayed in the US, but actually not using those grants and coming to University of Central Lancashire, or indeed probably many other UK universities, was actually still cheaper because they could do a 3-year programme, and that meant at least 1, maybe 2 years less of tuition fees, of living expenses, and our tuition fees were cheaper anyway. So it's something you might have to do a little bit of thinking about. Somebody's asking about scholarships. Is it difficult to get the scholarships? I'll just quickly see if I can remember where the finance bit is. Okay, so we've got these are the 3 main scholarships. Now there are other scholarships that are sometimes available, and it's quite often for very specific majors, so you should always keep an eye on our website. Exactly what majors are going to be available for next year is not yet decided, so I can't give you that information. But for the scholarships that I have on the screen there, that £1,000, $1,250 international bursary, you will get it because you're attending an event with me, because I usually in the normal world would be traveling to the US. You will be getting that. So there is no academic requirements for that. That is an automatic scholarship. It's a bursary rather than a scholarship. Now the other two, the £2,000 one and the £3,000 one, is based on your grades. That is where we're going to look at things like an SAT score, an ACT score, or APs or SAT subject tests. If you're not taking any of those, then you're going to be needing to do dual enrollment, college classes, associate's degree, or honours level classes. If you're not taking any of them, then you're not going to be able to get the £2,000 or £3,000 scholarship. But again, if you send me an email telling me exactly what it is that you're doing, if you give me an idea of what kind of grades you're getting as well, then I can tell you what you're most likely to be eligible for. I think that's all of the questions that we've got there just now. I have been asked before, and I'll very quickly touch on this because we've still got a few minutes, about why the UK does this way of going straight into your major. And one of the reasons really is just a historical reason. That's the way it's been done in the UK for a long time. In the UK, British students, when they're studying at school, they start thinking about what they're going to be doing at university quite early, really. And it's just been designed that way. The 4-year program that we have, which has got the additional foundation year, the foundation entry degree it's a 4-year bachelor's degree. That is a new thing. That is something that has only been running at University of Central Lancashire for maybe 4 or 5 years. It's not common in other UK universities, and it was designed originally for UK students who just weren't getting the grades that they needed, or perhaps hadn't taken the right subjects, and so they needed that extra year. But it's actually a really good way for US students to be able to come on and study as well, because it kind of bridges the gap between the US style, where you're entirely general education, and the UK style, where you're doing everything very focused in day one. It's a bit in between that. It's looking at the sciences or liberal arts or general engineering, but there's flexibility about what you can go on to do in that after that foundation year. But yes, I don't think we've got any other questions. I'll move to that last slide, just so if anybody needs to take down the my email address, you'll be able to get it. Sorry, it's taking a while to get through. epage@uclan.ac.uk, and the website's up on the screen as well. Please get in touch with me if you had a question you weren't able to ask, if I haven't answered your question the way you need it. If you just want some more information, or you want to chat through your options, please feel free to get in touch with me, and I'll be more than happy to help you. But thank you very much. It has been a delight to be here. That's 20 minutes to midnight here, so once I finish off, I'll be heading to bed. But thank you so much. It's been lovely.